Finally, a gas grill with thermostatic control, available only at Sam's Club. The new Members Mark Pro Series with patented thermostatic control. It offers users 2 ways to cook. Barbecue mode is traditional grilling with variable temperatures with users in control, while oven mode allows users to set a temperature from 225 degrees to 450 degrees. And the technology does the work of monitoring and adjusting to ensure precise firebox temperatures. We're talking about the Members Mark Pro Series with thermostatic control, now available at your local Sam Club store.
Welcome to Malcolm Reed's How to Barbecue Right, a podcast where we talk about barbecue, share recipes, and discuss all things delicious. And now, here's your host, Malcolm and Rochelle Reed.
Hey, welcome back to the How to Barbecue Right podcast. I'm your host, Malcolm Reed, and as always, joined by my lovely, talented wife, Miss Southern Shell. And we have Tyler with us over running the board today. How's everybody doing?
Good. It's a great day.
Beautiful day.
It's Labor Day weekend,
Still
baby.
not fall. We've had these 100-degree days wearing us out. We got false fall. Turned cool for just it really wasn't cool. It was just not over 90. Now it's back to 100.
Great for Labor Day weekend.
Hey, great for, yeah.
Hey,
man.
football's kicking off.
Yeah, wouldn't you love to be playing football in full pads in this heat?
No.
God, it's going to be brutal.
I drove by the band kids the other day, and I was like,
I feel so sorry for them. I saw them out there. They're out, and we have a friend whose daughter's in the high school band, and she said they practice from 1 o'clock to sometimes 6 o'clock outside in this heat. Brutal.
Hey, they win
And they win
championships.
championships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so today I thought we'd talk. Well, first of all, we've got a guest.
Yeah, we got Brad Baych from Butcher Wizard, and if y'all hadn't checked out his channel, it's really cool because he does some stuff that's like anybody would be interested in, like how to save money cutting your own steaks. Who has the best? What was one of the questions you got for him on our list here? Is like you did all the bacons at Walmart, or what was the best, or what was the best frozen burger
at Walmart? Yeah.
So he's doing some cool stuff, but it's part educational, part entertainment, and it's a Butcher Wizard. So if y'all want to check out his YouTube channel, go on over there and see what Brad's got going on. We're going to have him on later in the episode.
Yep. Real quick, I wanted to talk to you about your video this week.
Ooh, was it the tri-tip?
Yes.
Man, I love it when Kroger has tri-tips.
You do. You get
It's like
so
it's like hitting the
excited.
jackpot. Like you go in there and they're always like in the little end counter out in the middle. They don't have a regular slot for them over on the wall, but they'll bring different stuff in. And when I see tri-tips in there, I get excited because I can getting to pick through a dozen or more tri-tips is something for me. I never see them.
You're like a kid at Christmas.
Yeah, I got 2 of them.
Oh, they got tri-tip.
I did. I bought one for the video. Then I had one that we cooked over the weekend just to eat. And they're easy to cook. They're so easy to cook.
So you did your idea was to make it have a steakhouse flavor?
Yeah, it was that's kind of what I was going for. Steakhouse tri-tip, or to see if I could make a tri-tip taste like a ribeye steak. At least the flavors.
Yeah. I mean, they're both really
Oh, I
beefy.
nailed it. I know. I wouldn't say I nailed it. I mean, so what my plan was, we're gonna just get some beef season it how I would a steak. So usually I'll hit it with like swine life prime beef. That's a good base layer. I don't always put my steaks in a marinade, but I knew that the tri-tip, it's dense, and it can take a marinade. So I was like, why not? Let's put it in some W sauce and get some more flavor in it.
So what is W sauce?
It's kind of like kicked up Worcestershire.
Yeah.
I would say it's the best.
Is it made for a marinade or whatever you want to use
made
it
for
for?
however you want to use it.
Okay.
It's I guess like a steak sauce, but I mean, I don't think they sell much of it to people to eat as a steak sauce. Usually when I see it, it's in a marinade or maybe an injection or a brine or something like that.
I saw somebody using it in a Bloody Mary.
Yeah, you could definitely use it in a Bloody Mary,
Because
just
it's
like
got
you're
those
using.
flavors,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a kicked up Worcestershire. It's thicker than Worcestershire. Worcestershire is a little watery, real thin. The W sauce has a more of a consistency to it, but it's really good on steaks, chops, chicken, game. I mean, I would say you could put it on any of that stuff.
So you so you seasoned it up.
Seasoned it up, put it in a Ziploc bag, poured some W sauce in there, kind of spread it around, make sure every little area could get some on it. Stuck it on a little tray and slid it in the refrigerator for 2 hours. And I did go back every 20 or 30 minutes and kind of work it around a little, flip it, just to make sure I'm getting even coverage.
So when you put meat in the marinade and put it in the fridge, do you have to shake it around, or is that just a personal thing?
That's just So, I mean, you don't have to, but it's kind of a personal thing. I mean, I have put stuff in the refrigerator before in the marinade, and then it's like it just gets on the bottom side. It doesn't cover the top, or it'll just look discolored. I figure, why not? If I can go back every 15, 20 minutes and flip it or just make sure it's all covered, it'll look even when I take it out of the package. Because what I did, after 2 hours, I pulled it out of the refrigerator, and then I kind of squeezed the bag a little bit as I'm pulling it out to get most of that excess off. And then I even took paper towels because I don't want it to be super wet. I want to make a crust on it.
Okay.
And if you go in with a really, really wet piece of meat, it's not going to sear up as well, and it'll look gray looking. So you want to get most of that moisture, as much as you can, off, and that's why I use a paper towel. And then I re-seasoned it with like a coarse rub. I used my steak rub, but you want something that has like flaky salt, it has coarser ground peppers, it has the herbs in it. You know, any flavor you want. You could use anything. A Montreal would be good, or anything coarse like that. And so that's what I put on the outside, and then I fired the grill up. And I cooked this on the Weber. Really, any grill that you can do a 2-zone fire in, and all that means is all your coals are on one side and nothing's on the other side. So you've got directly over those coals, that's your searing, your hot, hot, hot side. And then your other side's still getting good heat, but it's more calmed down. It's regulated. And I wasn't really worried about what the grill temp was. I wanted it hot, but I wanted that safe zone. And what that does, it lets you do that reverse sear so you can bring up a larger cut of meat slow. And the tri-tip, it looks like watch the video, it looks like it's really flat when I seasoned it, when I put it in the marinade, even when I take it out. But when you put it on heat, and the way I kind of bunch it up when I put it on the grill, it swells up and it stands up tall. And so if you notice when I sliced it, it had gotten really thick. And that's because the way as the meat juices render out of it, it makes the meat swell up and those fibers, I guess, stiffen up and it stands it up. A brisket does it too.
Yeah, I was going to say, y'all talk about that with briskets.
Yeah. And so I put a probe thermometer in it. That's important. You want to watch the internal temperature because tri-tip, you don't want to overcook it. It's better when it's in that medium rare to rare stage. You don't want to go, if you're going to go way over, you might as well cook it like a brisket and take it on up. And you can cook one like that. I've done a video on it. It's not as good as just a reverse sear on one.
You like them medium rare?
Yeah, I like a medium rare. So I set my dot to 118. That was probably about 10 degrees below where I wanted it, knowing that it's going to carry over and knowing that I'm going to put it back on the hot coals and sear it at the end. So it took roughly 30-ish minutes to get to 118, and I didn't do anything. I just, put it on the cool side of the grill, have my probe in it, put the lid on, and let it rock. I didn't adjust the vents were 100% top and bottom on the Weber, so it's really, just letting the grill do what it does. And then once it got to 118, I took it off and I let it set for.
It looked beautiful.
It was at least 10 minutes with, what I did there is when I took it off, I left the lid off the grill so my coals could get really hot, and I made a little steak butter, like a flavored Steakhouse butter, to baste over it. And it looked really good when it come off for the rest. The seasoning made it look like it had a crust, but if you noticed, it wasn't seared at all. There was nothing crunchy on it.
It was brown.
It was brown, yeah.
So I know we've talked about this before, but I was going to bring it up again. The rest in between the reverse and the sear, I guess.
The first rest.
The first rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's really the second rest, because the first rest, when it comes out of the fridge, I let it rest on the counter to get the grill hot, and then I take it up to the first stage.
Well, why do you do the first rest?
Just so you don't want to put it on so ice cold. I've never tested it. I don't know if it makes a big difference or not, but I've always let it come up. It's not going to come up to room temp because it was 100 degrees outside. So, but it probably came up from chilled in the fridge below 40 to above 40. And so I just think it's important to let it cook even. If you've got it super cold, especially to the core, that it's going to stay really, really raw or below rare, and then the outside's going to cook faster. So letting it come up, letting it get kind of an average temperature is going to make it even cook all the way across it.
Okay, then the second rest.
The second rest
is after you've brought it up to 118.
Yeah, and it's to really stop the cooking process, but knowing that it's going to carry over. So I left my meat probe in it and watched it. And in the video, I don't think I showed this, but it was pretty interesting. That meat went to 128. That was as high as it went. And I was showing you, I was like, look, Shell, this carried over fast.
Oh, you were like, it's going to be overcooked.
I mean, you get nervous
I've
when you do
ruined
it, but you just have to trust the process.
Yeah.
And so what I'm looking for there, I let it carry over, and within 5 minutes, it had shot up all the way to 128. And then it starts dropping. So, and I didn't let it drop like all the way back to 118, but it had dropped to like 121 before I put it back on. And it took about 10, 11 minutes, whatever it was. But I would suggest doing that because what's happening is, it's been on a hot grill. Even though it was off to the side, it's still probably 350, 375 right there where it was. And so the heat's really, really working on the outside with it. It's pushing moisture out to the outside, and that's the cooking process. And what I want that to stop. I want some of that moisture just to settle down, and it's not like a sponge, like going to resaturate itself or anything. But it does calm down, and the moisture that's pushed out to the edges kind of goes back in a little bit. And so it slows that process down. So when you sear it, you've got more juice on the inside than out close to the edge, and it's not going to overcook it. You don't want that. What'll happen if you throw it over there and sear it first, you're more than likely going to get that dark gray line right on the outside where it's been cooked to well done there instead of being smooth, like perfectly medium pink all the way tip to tip. And that's what you want. It looks better and tastes better. You don't have that difference in texture. And so after it drops back down, 75% of the way. So say if you carried over 10 degrees, you want to let it drop back to, about 8 degrees lower than what it was or something like right in that range. And then you're ready to sear it.
But during that time, you use that time to get your grill hot and
Then
melt
make
some
my
butter.
Yeah, so I took a little iron skillet and threw a stick of butter in it, and I chopped up about half a shallot, threw in 4 or 5 cloves of garlic and a little bit of rosemary and a little bit of thyme, and let all that melt. I seasoned it with a little more of that steak rub just to give it some salt and pepper, and I let that melt. And it, 10 minutes, it was ready to go. You're not trying to cook it. You're trying to soften up those herbs, extract some flavor out of the garlic and the shallot, soften them up, and then just move it over to the side and keep it warm on the grill because the grill's still open and the coals are rolling at this point because you've got so much oxygen to them. So then I took the tri-tip, basted it really good on the top side with that melted butter, and then immediately went down over those hot coals and then started basting that back side. And what that does, as that butter starts dripping, it's running off of it a little bit, it's making that fire kick up, and that's really what's searing. And you could use grill grates if you wanted to do this and get you some grill marks, but I really wanted as much crust as I could get. And you could do it in an iron skillet if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But I like the flavor of that butter dripping, the meat juices dripping on those coals, and I think it gives you a better flavor. That's the best.
So at that point, you're doing how long?
It's about, you don't need to go long, and it depends on how much fire kicks up and how hot that grill is, where your coals are at that point. I just used 1 chimney of coal. So mine they weren't on the taper. That grill was just ready to cook, when I opened it up and let it go. And so it was super hot. If I had to guess, it was probably 700 degrees or at least 650. So that's screaming hot. And you can't leave it on there too long, but in about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, it should have a nice crust. And so if you notice when I flipped it over, it looks like a char, but it's really not a char. There's just a little bit of crust on the outside. I mean, the lighting was kind of dark, so it looked maybe darker than it was. But you can see once we got it over in the good light on the cutting board, wow, man, that tri-tip had a beautiful color to it. The crust was just perfect. And that was only on maybe 2 minutes on that one side and a minute and a half on the bottom side, and it didn't raise the internal temperature of the meat any because it's so open and it's so fast that you're just searing the outside. That's all it's about. And so I brought it over to the board and let it sit there. I don't even know if I gave it 5 full minutes. It looked so good and I wanted to eat it that, that was pretty quick. So the important part with tri-tip again.
Patience is a problem with your resting?
No. It's more hunger. Desire to eat. It ain't got nothing to do with patience. But anyway, I let it rest for about 5 minutes. And then the most important part of a tri-tip is cutting it right. Because if you cut the tri-tip wrong, it is going to be tough as shoe leather because it has grains that run in it and hold the muscle together. And you got to watch where those grains are. You want to cut across them. And down the narrow, skinny end of the tri-tip, they usually run pretty straight. But as you get down to the wider part of the triangle, the tri, it starts fanning out, and that's where you got to kind of pay attention to it. And so if you'll look at every tri-tip, there's almost a seam where that starts. You can kind of visualize it before you ever season it, where you can see the raw meat, and you can tell how those grains in that meat are running, those striations in the muscle. And you want to cut them straight across that. Not across. You want to cut them straight with that in the kind of center of that tri-tip to separate it into two pieces of meat.
And go ahead and
And
separate
then
it.
you turn it and slice it across, and it makes it really simple. It's not hard to do. You just need to know that you need to take the time to figure out where the striations change, and you're going to cut it.
I like the just going ahead. If I was doing it, I'd just go ahead and separate it because it's
Raw?
hard. No, but
Oh yeah,
at that point,
yeah.
instead of trying to turn it once you get
As
to
you
that
cook
point.
it, and
yeah.
when I first started cooking them, I would always try to do that. I'd try to fan it as I turn, and then make that fan and cut. And I was like, man, I'm overkilling it. This is just cut it right here and make 2 cuts, and you'll get pretty slices every time. And I try to skew the knife to give me the little tall slices, but that tri-tip swelled up so much, it kind of looked like a beef tenderloin, you know,
It did.
on one side, and then the flat side just was like a steak. So, and then if you skew the knife and you keep it thin, you'll have the best bite. And then you could do it for whatever you could use it for whatever you wanted.
And you like to slice it pretty thin. I like it when it's sliced pretty thin. When you cooked the one for us for dinner, we just had a salad and a tri-tip. You cooked it really thin. It's so good.
It is. And it goes good with a salad. Like it's pretty much a steak salad. I mean,
Kind of. And then you
but
got
if
the
you're
butter.
gonna put it on a sandwich, you can't have too thick a piece of it. If you're gonna eat it like 3 strips for dinner, or so, a dinner size portion, I would cut it a little thicker and serve it with a fork and knife. You cut it up just like you would eat a steak. But if you were going to use it for tacos or sandwich or anything,
the thinner the better.
Yeah, the thinner the better. And you could also treat it a little bit like roast beef. If you wanted to let it cool down a little, wrap it in saran wrap, stick it in the refrigerator, and then slice it the next day, you would have like deli sliced tri-tip that would be a lot like roast beef, but better. I guarantee it.
I also like the butter.
Oh,
you
the
got
butter.
that butter. I mean, you used
the
it to
butter makes
baste
it.
and but then you can
It's
go
good
back
for
and
dabbing too.
dip. Yep.
Yes. I could have made a whole nother pan of it just to serve with it. Because if you
went
got some
quick.
crusty bread and tri-tip with that butter, that's all you need. That's a meal.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
But it was really good. I mean, I highly suggest trying it.
I like
You can't
tri-tip
get
'cause it's
tri-tip.
beefy.
Like, if you're like us, they don't have it all the time in stores. So it's hard. It can be hard to find. But if you call Kevin, he's got some fantastic ones at the butcher shop. And I've got some from Creekstone. I've ordered them from Creekstone that are really good too. That's just the 2 places where I first go when I get to wanting tri-tip.
Well, let's bring Brad on.
I think I see him he's logged on. So
All right.
without further ado, the How to Barbecue Right podcast is brought to you by our friends at Primo Grills. Shell, did you know that Primo is the only ceramic grill made right here in the good old USA?
What? Are you telling me that Primo grills are proudly crafted here in the USA, ensuring top-notch quality and support for local craftsmanship?
I sure am. Plus, Primo Grill not only delivers mouth-watering flavor, but because of their innovative oval design and superior ceramic construction, Primo Grills also gives you a ton of cooking versatility.
Whether you're smoking low and slow or searing a steak to perfection, Primo Grills gives you the consistent heat distribution for mouth-watering results every time.
What she said, y'all. Y'all visit primogrill.com and check them out. So it looks like Brad's here, Shell. So he's in the green side, the green room, I guess you call it. Is that what it is virtually? But without further ado, hey, Brad, how's it going? This is Brad Baych from the Butcher Wizard, right?
Yes.
All right. How's it going, Brad?
It's going great. I'm really glad to be here, and man, I've been a fan for a long time, so it's great to finally get to meet you and talk to y'all.
Yeah, well, we're excited, man, because we've kind of started following your channel, and we're seeing all these videos you're putting out, and I really like the approach where it's educational, but it's entertaining too, and that's kind of our philosophy with YouTube. We try to make something that helps people out, but it's got to be entertaining a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Gotta have some fun with it.
And your channel's been growing a lot. The quality you put into it shows because of how many people are sharing it, and it's growing super fast. So, how did you get started making YouTube videos?
Yeah, I've always been in the food business. I went to culinary school. I taught culinary school for a while. Worked in restaurants and hotels and all kinds of things, grocery stores, everything. And then when I was a stay-at-home dad for a little while, and I wanted to get back to teaching people stuff, so I was like, oh, well, I'll throw it up on YouTube and see what happens. Never expecting anyone to watch it. Yeah. And my 8th video that I did, it just blew up. It went to 1 million views in like 4 days. So it was just kind of a rocket ship. And I was like, okay, I got lucky once. We'll keep trying this stuff. And the next couple of videos did really well too. I got those up to over 1 million. So, and then it was just off to the races. And I guess I'm now doing this for a living. I don't know.
That's awesome. What was the video that blew up, the first one?
It was how to save money on cutting your own ribeyes. So I basically took a whole ribeye from Costco, and showed people how to make steaks out of it. And again, I still to this day, it gets views every day, and I don't really. I'm not very proud of what my best video, but I think those early videos are really tough when you go back and look at them, and you're like, oh man. But people liked it, so I'm glad they did.
You know, it's fun to watch the evolution of YouTube. As we went through the same thing. I mean, we didn't know anything about videos when we started, so you just jump in and go. And then when something hits, it's like, man, there's something to this. But I think it's you're authentic when you do it, and it is informative. And so there's a lot of great elements that go into making one of those banger videos. I mean,
the teacher, you can tell you've been a teacher before because you explain stuff so well.
It's like, teaching culinary school was one of my favorite jobs I ever had. I mean, and now that I get to do it on YouTube, it's like it's good it's fun because you get to teach people stuff. And like you're saying, it's like you got to be entertaining or no one's will watch it. So it's you just got to try to make it fun.
So what's your process like? Do you sit down with an idea and develop it out, or do you just kind of come up with something and jump in and go?
No, I have a list of ideas going all the time. Of what I think will do well and what I can actually pull off, because I will put everything into like a spreadsheet, every idea, a crazy idea I can think of, and some of them just can't be done. I keep it very simple. I'm actually in my kitchen, so it's some things can be done and some things can't. But I mean, I'm always looking at other people and what other people in the cooking space and what other people in different like what gardening people are doing and home improvement channels are doing. So I'll try to get ideas from that and bend it to the meat cutting. So
that's a great approach though, because all that's information that the average person, if you're like me, if you're into cooking outside, grilling or even just into steaks, you've got something there for everybody to learn from. And that's to put it I think the hardest part is put it in a way to where the average person can understand what you're doing. And I think you do that really good. The teaching side of it comes across that way.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And we sprinkle in some fun stuff. I taste tested all the Bubba Burgers, frozen burgers. I've done.
I was going to ask you about it. Yeah.
That was kind of fun. And so, we try to throw in some fun stuff too.
Well, our idea today was just to kind of pick your brain on some of this stuff, because you got so many interesting topics. And I do like the way you title your videos. A lot of times you present a question or, what's the best frozen burger at Walmart? I thought that's great. I want to know. It makes me want to watch it. So you're playing the YouTube side of things right by coming up with these ideas, but I think the information is really key too. So it's a good job.
So as a meat aficionado.
We like to think of ourselves as meat aficionados.
Absolutely, yeah.
Untrained.
Yeah, we're not culinary school. But so we had some questions for you. So where do you suggest people go buy meat if they don't have a really good butcher shop in their town? Where do you recommend they go to?
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to get stuff from Costco and Sam's at the big warehouse clubs. Again, because a lot of the stuff I'm doing, we're cutting down the subprimals, so those are a good place to find them all the time. So I like to get stuff from there. I also like, not every town has this, but it's called a chef store. It's U.S. Foods. They're a big food distributor. It's there open to the public kind of thing. It's like a restaurant supply and food mixed together. So that place is really great. You can get all these big cuts of meat that they have everything there, but they don't have like, you can't buy cut ribeyes there. You can just buy the whole subprimals. So those are 3 places that I really like to get stuff.
Do you need a membership for that last one?
Not for the chef store.
Yeah.
You don't need one. I know like there's a restaurant depots. I think you need like a business license to get into there. But as far as the chef store is concerned, it's open to the public.
We have of course, we have a restaurant depot close to us, but we also have Lit, which is just like you're talking about. It's pretty much a restaurant supply, but it's for the general public too.
It's
and
not
so
a chain.
you can go
It's
there and
locally
you can
owned,
get
yeah.
some primals and subprimals and things like that. But people, I mean, I think a lot of people probably realize, but with videos like yours, it shows you can actually save a lot of money buying those subprimals at the club stores or at a restaurant supply type store and breaking them down yourself. So that's a great tip for people to go out and to learn how to cut their own meat down and save some money from just going to the butcher store.
Easy. If you talk about a strip loin for New York strips or a ribeye, it's really it looks intimidating, but once you get in there, it's not that difficult. Some of the other cuts get a little more intricate, but yeah, I mean it does save a ton of money.
Oh, I love, so I'll go to Sam's or Costco and get the whole beef tenderloin. And you break those down, you get, a lot of that stuff, you pay for them to break it down out of the grocery store, but you don't get the chain meat. You don't get the tail and the head of that beef loin. And there's some great meat there that you can do stuff with.
Well, and you kind of touched on the chain on the tenderloin. My favorite part about doing all this at home is the the extra trim that you get from doing all this, and then you grind them up into some of the best ground beef for best hamburgers you had in your life. So that's I almost like to do that more than I like to eat the steaks. I love a nice good burger. So you can control the fat content, you can control the cuts that go in it. So that's one of my favorite things about what we do.
So when you're picking out these subprimals you're buying, we're talking about the whole meat, the whole piece of meat in the Cryovac. Are you looking for something specific when you go to, say, buy a rib loin or anything like that, or a beef tenderloin?
Yeah. How do you pick the best one?
Yeah.
Yeah. For the ribeyes, like for the whole ribeyes, you want one that's as thick as possible, so it has a good diameter to it, because some of them can get kind of flat, and you really want that for that nice round steak. You really want that to be as big as possible. It is kind of difficult to look at outside these packages and see what's going on inside. But again, you're just trying to, just use your best judgment. Find one that looks like you hold it up for the cross section, and if it looks like a good steak, I think you're in the right place.
Now, when you're breaking these cuts down, does someone at home, do they need any special tools or anything, or we're just talking a good knife?
Yeah, basically the things you're going to need is a nice sharp knife, a pretty big knife. You don't want something that's like 10 inches, 8 inches, something like that. A boning knife to really kind of get some of the more intricate work done, and then a big cutting board. That's a big thing. The cutting board I use is like 20 by 15, so it's so the whole piece of meat can stay on the one cutting board. And then you got to find a way to store it, so that's can be tricky. You can just use plastic bags, like Ziploc bags, or you can go and get a vacuum sealer and stuff like that. But because more than likely we're not eating like all of these ribeyes at one time, so you're gonna have to find a way to store it. But yeah, those are kind of my big things.
Are you cool with vacuum sealing them and just putting them in the freezer and freezing them for 30 days or so? Or do you?
Yeah, I love to vacuum seal, but I love the vacuum sealer for this, and put it in the freezer. I just can't. I know there's a lot of like you shouldn't freeze meat, but I don't find that the quality loss is that noticeable. So when you go ahead and thaw it out, so as long as it is vacuum sealed, those vacuum sealers you can put them up. The food inside will last for like a year or something. It's crazy. But yeah, I am fully okay with thawing out the steak and then enjoying it out as you need it.
So, all right, Shelley wrote this down. Did you want to ask that next question I see on our list here about the, okay. What do you look for? Well, it was, what is your favorite cut of steak?
Oh,
I mean, yeah.
What is your favorite cut
if
of
you got to
steak?
pick one, Brad, what are you going to pick?
Right now I'm loving a New York strip. I just love the fact that it's got, it has more flavor than like a like a fillet, but it's a little leaner than a ribeye. So I'm really enjoying those right now. I love the kind of budget cuts too. So a Denver steak is really good. I'm doing a horrible job of picking just one, but the chuck eye steaks, all these, I really like the budget cuts also. They're a little harder to find, but they're good.
That was what Shell was rolling into next. We talk underrated cuts that people don't know about. I feel like you could share some really good insight on something like everybody knows ribeye, everybody knows strip, everybody knows a fillet, but you touched on a few of the other ones. What's some of the more underrated ones that as a butcher that you would recommend people try?
Yeah, so my favorite budget cuts come from the chuck primal cuts. So you have a chuck eye, which is kind of like a ribeye, and it actually is the ribeye muscle, but it's just smaller in the chuck. So I would say like you get a ribeye, but for chuck prices, just because of where it's at in the cow. And there's only a couple of them on each animal, but they're really, really good. It's just like having a ribeye for half the price. The Denver steak, like I said, is it comes out of that chuck primal too, but it's kind of eats more like a strip. So it's lean, but still has a good amount of fat in it. And the good thing about these cuts is they're in the chuck, so they're cheaper, but they're not as tough as other cuts in the chuck. So they eat like a steak. As long as you don't cook them over like medium or so, they are really good steaks.
I'm a huge fan of the chuck section of steaks because I've been cooking Denver steaks for a while. I've definitely loved the chuck eye. I think bang for your buck, it's as good as a ribeye. And we have a friend that has one of the best butchers I think in the United States down in Florida, Kevin. We want to get him on the podcast soon. But he started sending me some of these chuck eye steaks to try. Some of these cuts that we don't see at grocery stores. That's the thing. Like where we live, I mean, the Memphis area, it's not really beef centric. Now we can go find decent steaks, but we're not going to see all of these specialty cuts. And I kind of fell in love with the Denvers, the hanger steaks, the chuck eye steaks, all of the Trace Majors, all these steaks that you get out of that front shoulder primal, I guess.
Yeah, and that's kind of what makes it good about breaking down your own meat is you can get all these steaks out of your own. It's a chuck roll is the subprimal, and with a little bit of practice, you can pull out. You can get your chuck eyes and your Denver steaks because they're, like you're saying, they are very hard to find because most grocery stores just don't take the time to cut those out. They just take the whole chuck roll, and they'll make chuck roasts out of all of it, and then the Denver steak is kind of lost. The chuck eye is lost.
And I'm guessing you have a video on your channel about how to break down the chuck roll.
Yeah, I got a couple of them, as a matter of fact. So just different angles, and
it is not like you make it sound really easy just talking about it, but it's more complicated than just jumping in there and cutting them out perfect the first time. It's going to take you some practice.
Yes, the chuck roll is more complicated. I would not suggest that people jump right into that. I would start with something like the strips or the ribeyes and get acquainted, but because the chuck roll does have several muscle groups, and a lot of them are real different. Like there's parts of those chuck roasts that you do not want to cook medium rare, and then you find the Denver steak and you're like, oh man, this is really good. So, and they're right next to each other. So it does take a little practice, but I tell people that it's okay if you mess up because you still have dinner afterwards. So nothing really goes to waste.
Still got the meat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's the most overrated cut in your opinion?
Okay, so I love this question. I think the tomahawk ribeye is the most overrated cut as of right now. It looks great for Instagram. It looks great for YouTube, but like it's a ribeye with a long bone on it. You can get a bone-in ribeye and not have to have that extra bone. So it's when I talk about saving money on the channel, it's like you don't get you still have to pay for that bone that you're not going to eat. So I would say that's probably the most overrated in my book.
Yeah.
I see that in restaurants. Like you go to a restaurant and they'll have the big bone-in ribeye. it's probably $50 or something like that. But they'll do a tomahawk, they'll charge you $100 for it, and it's the exact same steak. It just has a longer bone. It's not any different.
But it looks cool.
It looks great on Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it has that Fred Flintstone look. You pick up that big piece of meat on the big bone, and it looks cool and all that. But you can't eat that.
Well, my problem is like I've talked about how I don't like this cut, and then I'm like, but man, it would look cool if I did a video on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, we've done a couple.
Yeah, I've done several of them, and they're absolutely good. They're really, really good. But I don't know if it's worth it.
And it's a showstopper.
Yeah, it's the cool factor. Well, what temp do you typically try to hit when you're cooking your steaks?
Yeah, I'm rare to medium rare. I'm more on the rare side. But my family, like kids, when we have steaks, they're more the medium, so stuff like that. But I mean, we're just, I can't have it too rare. But
and you may educate me on this, but I've been seeing some commentary on, and I never really thought about it. Like when you take different cuts of steak, say you take a strip steak, I never want to eat it medium. I always want a medium rare, rare plus, somewhere even rare. But say a ribeye, when you go to eat a ribeye rare or medium rare, you don't always get that fat rendering. So I don't think you get as much true flavor out of it because it really hasn't been heated enough to melt some of that fat that's in it. The ribeye is a real fatty steak, which is great about it because it gives it flavor. But so what's some of your thoughts on that about having to take ribeyes a little bit further to get that fat to render some?
yeah, I completely agree because that is the challenge with a ribeye is it does have all that fat inside. It's just so you may go medium and something like that to render some of that fat, and that's why we all love prime rib because it's taken medium like for a long period of time, and then all that intermuscular fat really renders down. So I mean, I completely agree. It's good. I am not, when I go to a restaurant, I don't usually order the ribeye. I don't usually gravitate towards that. But I mean, the flavor of especially the ribeye cap and all that stuff is tremendous.
It's worth it.
So
Yes.
you mentioned Costco earlier being a great place to source some meat from. Have you tried their Spinalis Pinwheels that they sell? I mean, I used to see them. I hadn't been to Costco in a minute, but have you ever tried that cut?
I have not seen that. I've seen it online. People talk about it, but at my local Costco, I have not seen that. I did a video where I made that myself, where you took off the whole cap and then rolled it up. So that steak was tremendous. Like it seems like it's almost cheating though if you're taking off the best part of the ribeye. And
can you walk us through that process? So I don't even know if people really realize what it takes to do it, but trimming that. How you would trim that spinalis off and then roll it up
from a whole ribeye? Is what
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really pretty easy. You get your whole ribeye, and you can see where that spinalis starts to form as you're cutting it. I usually kind of I tell people to take one thin slice off of the end, and you can tell if you're at the right place where that spinalis is. And you just take your boning knife and you get underneath it, and you just remove that cap off there. It comes off really easily. Like most of butchery too is knowing where the seams are so that you don't have to use your knife so much. So you just lightly start pulling that cap off, and then once it's off, it's a pretty thin piece of meat, and it's not very it's thicker in some parts and thinner in others. So you just kind of put two together, and you roll it up and tie it, and you can cut steaks out of it just like that.
Oh, so you put two together.
Yeah, because like I said, one side's real thick and it goes down to a thinner side. So I kind of it's hard to explain, but I reverse it so that the thin part is over the thick part, and it kind of makes it more uniform.
So it's kind of a fold, pretty much. Is that?
It's like a thick part here and a thick part here, and you lay.
Yeah, and then you roll it up and tie it.
I got you. So pound for pound, that's an expensive cut of meat. You have to have two whole ribeyes to cut the best part of them off to do this.
Well, it's like if you're doing a prime rib, maybe for people you don't like that much, you take off the ribeye cap and save it for later.
So for me, once I remove that, I might as well be eating a strip because it's the eye of that ribeye pretty much tails off to the strip, the strip loin. So it's kind of
Like I said, it definitely is cheating to go ahead and take the best part of the steak or best part of the ribeye and make a steak out of it. But it's fun.
I love good roast beef, like from the deli, like a roast beef sandwich from a really good deli. But when you buy it from the grocery store, every time I do, the roast beef is kind of like flavorless and bland and stuff. And I saw you had a video of how to make perfect deli style roast beef at home. Could you explain that process to us?
Yeah, it's you're basically just taking a I forgot what cut I used on that one, but you're gonna take something from the round, more than likely, and roast it. And I think the biggest problem with grocery store roast beef is the fact that they cook it too long, and you don't get that nice kind of medium roast beef, and that's what you really gain by doing it yourself. But then you can do whatever kind of seasonings you want on it, and then roast it to the right temperature, and then let it put it in the refrigerator overnight so it's super cold. And then it's just taking a meat slicer, and that's how you get those nice thin shavings of roast beef. But I mean, it's really pretty easy. It's just it's a 2-day process at least, and you got to have the slicer it's a special piece of equipment that you may or may not have. But for me, it's worth it. I love roast beef sandwiches.
When you're roasting it, are you roasting it at high temp or a low temp for a long period of time? What's that process?
Yeah, I'll start it out high and then bring it down low, just so it gets a little caramelization on the outside. I know you're not gonna, you're getting so little of the outside when you're getting a slice of roast beef, especially in the meat slicer. So you can go heavy on the seasonings. You can try to go heavy on the caramelization. But you don't have to either. If you don't want to take the extra time, you can just throw it in the 350-degree oven. As long as you have some sort of thermometer to take the temperature, that's all that matters.
And what temperature are you trying to hit with that?
I would say, like, if you're trying to go medium, I would go like you want to go 10 degrees less. So if you're like 130-ish, 125-ish, it just depends on how you like it. But you can, whatever you're looking for, go 10 degrees below, because you're going to have that carryover cooking with that big piece of meat. It's so that's the tricky part, where you pull it at the right temperature and then it goes 10 degrees up. So that's the biggest thing to keep in mind.
So are you doing anything to change the flavor on the inside of the roast, like injection or brine or?
I've never tried. I've seen on your channel, like, injecting all the barbecue and stuff like that. I've never tried it. I can only imagine it will help the flavor if you can get some flavor on the inside.
That's my big hang up with a lot of roast beef you get. It's just, like you said it earlier, it doesn't have any flavor at all. Mm-hmm. It's just maybe a little salt if you're lucky. That's all you get.
Yeah.
But it's so bland. And then I've had, venison roast beef that I've, had prepared at a processor, and it just be flavored through and through. So I assume they did something like that, an injection or a brine or something, to really get some flavor deep down in it.
Yeah, I can.
Or maybe they just cooked it right.
Oh, they just cooked it right. Yeah. I think overcooking it's a big thing too, though.
Yeah.
Because when you overcook it, there's no coming back. I mean, you've dried it out and you've got rid of all that natural beefy flavor of it, and and I don't understand why anybody would want to eat something past medium.
Yeah.
So,
unless it's pot roast.
Yeah, it didn't have to go way past.
Yeah, way past.
So I saw a video where you compared all the different brands of bacon at Walmart. And I'm on a personal mission to find like the best brand of bacon, because it varies so much. So what was your favorite when you did that?
I heard, so I did that experiment, and then people kept telling me about Wright's bacon. And I don't know if that's a regional thing or wherever, but like they said, you got to try. I can't believe you didn't do Wright's bacon. And I go, they must have been out that day. I don't know, but I just like to look for the best kind of bacon that you can, the meatier kind. It was a fun experiment, and it just kind of like I said, it was a lot of fun, and I got to eat a lot of bacon.
You don't get tired of eating bacon. I can get down with that.
But did you have a brand that stuck out to you more than others?
You know what? I cannot recall off the top of my head, but which one won. I know the turkey bacon didn't win. I know that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, if you've never tried Wright's, you've got to find you some Wright's bacon, because it is fantastic.
I think it might be a Southern thing, like a regional thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
we
I'm
don't know.
in South Carolina, so it's we got. I'm sure it's there. I guess they just didn't have it, or I didn't pick it up, or I don't know what.
The problem with Wright's is it's really thick. and so it never gets like
It's not the disintegrate like how
it
thin
never
bacon
gets
does.
the really really crispy. It's got the best flavor, but if you're looking for really really crispy bacon, it's never.
I
that
mean,
one.
for thin bacon, I'm a Smithfield man. For thick bacon, I like Wright's, but there's a brand called Newski's that if you ever get a chance to get some Newski's, it is worth the hype. It's expensive, but it's really good bacon. I mean, a fat guy's going to know his bacon. We could talk the whole podcast about bacon. What we can wrap.
See, we have I have 4 kids, so we are in the volume game when it comes to a lot of foods. So it's like we're especially when it's bacon. We're a couple pounds for breakfast. We're a couple pounds of bacon for like Sunday breakfast. But.
Yeah, the 12-ounce pack doesn't get it. That's not going to get it.
Okay, well then I'm gonna ask you about the rotisserie chicken, Sam's or Costco.
I do love Costco, but Sam's won that competition. They had better flavor. The seasoning was better. The particular one I got from Costco was a little bit underdone, so you had to go back and put it back in the oven. So I just think for that particular day, Sam's definitely won on the rotisserie chicken.
I'm going to blame that on whoever's operating the rotisserie that day.
That's kind of that's hard to.
I would like to know what Sam's is seasoning, if they have a certain specific seasoning that they're putting on those chickens, because for $5, I don't think you couldn't get a whole chicken and cook it yourself as good as they can do it. Or at least, I mean, it's so fast, it's so easy, and they're always consistent.
Yeah, those $5 chickens are really interesting. I don't know if you've heard about how many they actually sell, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of these things, and just to get people to come in the store and buy a chicken.
Yeah, that's why they put them in the way in the back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then you have to wait on them sometimes, so it really gives you ample time to shop and spend some more money with them.
Hey, it works.
It does.
I go in there and buy.
Oh, and they recognize me in the meat section of Sam's because I'm looking at I'm one of those guys that's going to go through the meat counter and just look at everything. I may not buy some of everything, but I'm going to look and see what all they have. I found some good stuff.
My Costco and Sam's, they're always throwing out new, different stuff. So you have your tried and trues, but they'll throw out some all kinds of stuff. Every once in a while you can get a porterhouse, and I did at Sam's. They put 2 porterhouses together, and they charged for a T-bone. Like they call it a T-bone, but you can really look and see okay, they put 2 together that are 2 porterhouses. So it's kind of a fun game. I'm the one sifting through all the packages.
Well, so, we asked you earlier about where to source meat. One of my things is I like going to the club stores because they do turn a big volume. So, you're getting fresh meat and they're constantly putting stuff out. And then if their case is empty, often you can ring the bell and the butcher will come out there and you can ask him. And a lot of times they've got the inventory. They just hadn't got around to putting it out. So they'll bust out a case and they'll let you pick through it. Like I've never had a bad experience where they said, no, wait till I set it out. Most of them will let you pick out what you want.
And they typically have a huge selection.
Yeah.
So earlier you had said about saving your trim and making burgers. So where do you get the fat for making your burgers or making sausage or something like that?
Yeah, it'll all just be saved from different projects that I've done. And again, I have the YouTube channel, so I have more probably than the average person. But that's what I'll use most often is just like there's a lot of fat trim, like on a strip, on a ribeye. Like you can get a pretty good amount of fat trimmings. If you don't have all that, you can go to a butcher shop and ask them for they'll sell you beef trim. I know, I went to Whole Foods one time and I was making beef tallow and they sold me I had to call ahead or whatever, but they sent me about 10 pounds of beef fat for beef tallow. So they got it back there.
That's a lot of fat too, 10 pounds.
Yeah. I've always, when I go to a butcher, any kind of store that has a butcher, I try to talk to them. I believe in, asking the guy questions. I mean, if it's a busy time, you're not going to take time out of their day. But the majority of the time, they're happy to educate you when you have questions. And building those relationships with them gets them to hold their fat. Because like our Kroger, for instance, they can't sell fat anymore. And I don't know if this is just a big chain wide deal, but they stopped them from being, and I think it goes back to where they don't do a lot of cutting anymore in the store. So they probably don't have as much, trim left over, but they didn't have a way to regulate it and sell it, supposedly is what I was told. So they can't, and they used to sell it. Like, being a deer hunter, we were always grinding our venison and making burger, and we were mixing beef fat or pork fat with it. And it is a challenge to find that fat.
Yeah, like you said, I think any places that are actually cutting their own meat, I think that's the best place to go. Now who knows, like with big grocery stores, they might be getting like already cleaned tenderloins so that they can still cut steaks to order, but like they don't have any of the trim.
So how hard is it to make your own beef tallow?
It's actually really pretty easy. You just you put I like to grind it to get some more surface areas. So you put that in a pot. You top it off with the fat, and then you put I'll put water in there, and then start to boil it. And what will happen is the water will eventually evaporate, and it'll leave just the fat. So then you can cool it down, and then there's a little bit of water left. It'll separate, and you got beef tallow.
Do you have to cook that down again and kind of to get it back clean, or are you just using it off that first cook?
You definitely can do that process again for, if you're just going to cook with it, I just do it the one time. But I know people make soap out of it, and I've seen it online where they'll like do it more and more times to get the impurities out. But I mean, it's, for me, I just do it the one time.
About how long does it take to boil the fat?
I guess it just depends on how long or how much you start with, but I would say like 30 minutes ish. I forgot how long it took when I did the video, but like it may be a little bit longer. I don't know. But it is beef tallow is a very popular, with a lot of different diets and a lot of different people just using beef tallow. I know barbecue guys, they use a lot of beef tallow. So I mean, it's I like the water method. Because it gives you it doesn't burn, so when you're evaporating all that water, it's not like getting crispy, it's not burning, you're just getting the fat. So I find that to be that way to be a little bit easier.
Are you worried about the temperature? Are you just trying to keep it like on a low simmer once you get the water kind of boiling?
Yeah, just a low simmer, and then you just got to keep an eye on it to make sure you'll know when that water has evaporated.
With you doing all the butchering and cutting, do you ever get a chance to do beef or bone marrow, like roasted bone marrow? Every time I see it on a menu at a restaurant, I always want to order it.
I'm a big fan of eating bone marrow. I haven't done it myself, like for a video or at my house. I love ossobuco. That's one of my favorite go-tos when I'm out. But yeah, the bone marrow is so good. I can't imagine like when you get into like an appetizer, I couldn't imagine doing like more than just a couple of bites because it's really, obviously really rich. And
I'll tell you one thing I found was excellent is a raw oyster with bone marrow topper. It is.
Oh wow.
Oh man, it is. It's one of the finer things in life. I promise you.
I'm gonna have to try that because I love raw oysters. So
that was like a New Orleans menu item. Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. It's so good.
So, are you cooking anything for Labor Day this weekend?
We'll probably just do burgers and stuff. Like I said, we have a bunch of kids that are out of school. They just seem like they just got in school, but now they get a day off. But yeah, we'll just kind of keep it, just keep it simple. That's most of our meals nowadays are quick, easy, like get meals on the table because everybody's doing they're doing plays and piano and football and all kinds of stuff. So it's a crazy time.
Yeah, it gets in the way of cooking all the fun stuff, doesn't it?
Well,
it does.
You said that burgers are one of your favorite things. What's your favorite burger?
Let's see. So I'm really into the smash burger nowadays. Doing the smash burger, or even just making that burger sauce, that smash burger sauce, and putting it on a regular hamburger. But yeah, I just like I said, keep it simple, cheese and some sauce, and go to town.
Yeah.
So for
That's right.
people that don't know about the Walmart video you did about the best burger at Walmart, tell us how that went.
Yeah, so I did that. So I took all the frozen hamburger. Basically, my idea was what would be something I could buy that people would think butchers wouldn't want to taste. So kind of give that juxtaposition of that. So I thought I'll do frozen hamburgers. So I went and bought all the frozen hamburgers. The Bubba Burger actually won that video, and then I did another video of ranking all the Bubba Burgers, all the flavors of Bubba Burgers. So yeah, the Bubba Burger won.
Bubba Burger is usually the brand that we go for too.
You like them?
Yeah.
My pet peeve with them is the shape of them.
It's supposed to be that
Why
way.
do they want to make it? Why don't they make it round?
So it looks natural.
Yeah.
I heard that in my comments of that video that it's shaped like the state of Texas. So I don't know.
I believe it. It definitely has, it has points and ridges, and it's not just a round burger.
What was the best Bubba Burger flavor?
Yeah, the sweet onion was the one that won that one. The one I liked the best.
You're going to make me go to Walmart and buy the Bubba Burgers this weekend. I promise you.
I kind of.
Hey, it's a good burger. It's a good burger. I mean, I hadn't done too many frozen hamburgers up until that point, and I'm like, this is pretty good for what you're doing to try to save time and all that. I mean, it's a pretty good product.
For the masses, I mean, we've cooked them at barbecue contests when we're just feeding a bunch of people and you don't want to patty out a bunch of burgers. I mean, there's no way, it's not going to come close to grinding your own or buying some really good 80-20. But in a pinch, for quickness and to feed a bunch of people, it's easy. And by the time you season them up, maybe drizzle a little Worcestershire or something on them, they get pretty good flavor. Yeah. Now, I don't know if I would eat that burger medium rare. What about would you eat one medium rare, Brad?
I don't know about all that. Yeah,
that probably needs to be a little more on the well done side.
You probably can't get a medium rare because you'll cook them from frozen, so it probably doesn't even get that way. Like it'll still be frozen in the middle.
Yeah, don't eat it froze.
Yeah, that's definitely eat frozen.
Well, do you ever eat a medium or a medium rare hamburger, or do you always take it to well done?
No, I love a medium hamburger. That's pretty much how I get them. I don't go medium. I don't go lower than that because, again, kind of like we were talking about the ribeye, you get, if you don't get some of the fat rendered out, it can be not as appetizing. But I mean, if you're going to go medium rare, then you're going to need to go like beef tartare or carpaccio.
I was just fixing to ask you, have you done a videos on? I haven't seen them on your channel yet.
Not yet. They're coming up because beef carpaccio is one of my favorite things. Like if I ever see it on a menu, I go for it. It's just thin slices of usually like a beef tenderloin that's been pounded out, and you can take your fork and just kind of like scrape it, and it falls apart. And Parmesan cheese and olive oil.
I absolutely love it. Yeah, it's one of our favorite appetizers when we see it on a menu.
And they don't cook it at all, correct?
No, it's not cooked at all.
Okay.
They'll just take a slice of it and put it between two sheets of like two things of plastic wrap, and you'll pound it out until that 1 ounce, 2 ounce piece is as big as the whole plate. And then you just, take one sheet of plastic wrap off, put it on the plate, take the other sheet, and then you got carpaccio.
I didn't know that.
I can't wait to see your video doing that.
Yeah.
I want to try it.
It's I need to do it. We got so kind of a breaking news or whatever. I don't know what you call it, but like next year, we're thinking about. So I'm now working on a cookbook. So
excellent.
It'll fingers crossed it'll come out at the end of next year. But I know that carpaccio is in there, is on the plan to make. So
now the tartare, I can't do that.
I love tartare.
It's a texture thing. It's like mushy wet meat.
I love it.
That's kind of what it is, right?
Yeah.
Do you like the tartare?
You know what? I've only had it 1 or 2 times, and it's fine. Again, if I'm gonna go raw meat, I'm carpaccio all the way. And maybe it's because all the stuff that's on top. I don't know.
It doesn't seem like you're eating raw meat when you're eating the carpaccio.
Yeah.
The tartare, I'm just thinking raw hamburger.
Raw hamburger meat. Yeah.
With and usually they serve it with like a quail egg
Yeah.
or a runny egg that may or may not have been cooked either. And It's a lot. It's a
Too much
texture.
raw,
It's a
right?
texture thing. Yeah, it's a texture thing. It's like this would be great if it was cooked a little bit. But the tartare is excellent, and you don't
mean
even
the
you don't-
carpaccio?
the carpaccio.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even realize that it's raw beef. And I love the little, a lot of times they'll do balsamic or an oil, and it'll have a little like arugula and different dressings and things on it. It's fantastic.
Well, Brad, we're going to let you get back to your Labor Day plans and back to making your videos. But before we do you everybody go check out Brad on Butcher Wizard on YouTube. Are you all the other social platforms?
Yeah, it's Butcher Wizard pretty much everywhere. Yeah, if people want to get in touch, YouTube is where the most content is, and then people can get a hold of me on Instagram and stuff like that.
Excellent, man. Well,
When do you put out videos? Is it like weekly?
I try to do it weekly. I know the summer was real tough, so there was some like best hits, best ofs kind of thing. But yeah, I try to get one out a week, and then yeah. So.
Well, good. Well, we'll definitely be looking for more videos. I'm gonna be looking for that tartare video, but excited about the
Carpaccio,
cookbook
you
too.
keep saying
Oh yeah,
tartare.
I get them confused. Don't get me wrong.
Would you?
I'm not a fancy guy, but I just know they're good. I know carpaccio's good.
If Brad puts out a carpaccio video, are you going to try to recreate it?
I'll definitely try it. Yeah, definitely. But we appreciate
Done.
you.
It's done. I'll do it.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking time out of your day to come on here with
Yeah,
us
thank you.
and talk about your channel and everything else, all this good beef. And we'll be looking for the cookbook. And are you going to do a pre-order? Will people have a chance to pre-order that book coming up?
Yeah, it'll be pre-order, but like I said, it's pretty much long term in the future. We're working hard on it, but man, it is a beast.
Oh yeah, we've been working on one for 15 years. So.
Oh,
Well, good luck with it, man. And it's a pleasure talking to you. We'll do it again.
awesome! Thank you all so much. I really appreciate having me on.
Yeah,
Have a good
thank
one.
you. That was a great little interview.
Man, yeah. Hey, anytime I can learn something, and that's really, when I think, Tyler, did you find his channel for us?
I did. Well, he reached out to us
okay.
first, but like after I kind of looked him up, like I got obsessed with watching.
That's kind of the way I was. I just started flipping. I hadn't heard of him, and then I started seeing some of his videos, and I was like, man, these are good. Like you could tell, I had no idea that he was a teacher or that he was culinary trained, but you could tell now that it makes sense watching his videos and he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, and it's informative. It's good.
Yeah, I like the best frozen burgers at Walmart. What's the best? That's a good approach. I don't never really do videos like that, but I might. That's a pretty good idea.
No, I mean his channel for me was like at the perfect times. I had just gotten my Costco membership, so he got me all amped to go in there for the first time, and then I realized, wow, okay, but these are still $200-something, so like I'm almost there. But
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
no,
you got to
I mean,
come with it for a primal.
If you're buying a whole prime rib, pretty much, I mean you're going to spend $200 easy.
Yeah, but you're going to get for
You're going to get 14 to 16 steaks out
or
of it,
whatever
or whatever.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of meals out of it. So
yeah, so it's worth it.
but yeah, but anyway, I guess that's all.
Yeah.
the time
Well,
we
so we launched the competition in the community
oh yeah,
for the Primo XL. Tyler,
we're giving away a grill.
yeah, heck
Giving
yeah.
away a grill,
And it's going to be quick. This ain't like a long contest. It's over next week, right?
Y'all got a week. So if you're listening to this on Friday, you literally have just a couple days to get in. We are giving away a Primo XL all-in-one, and then pretty much everything you need to get started grilling. We got a Killer Hogs tailgate package in there. We got some charcoal. We got some starter. Like everything you need for this football season is going to first place. All you got to do is go to the comments section and post a picture of something you like to cook for football. That can be literally anything. I've seen everything from like porterhouses on there to what do y'all call those little armadillo eggs or whatever with the jalapeno peppers. But also we're giving away for 2nd through 5th place. We're still giving away some Killer Hogs tailgate packages to get everybody kickstarted for football season. So you don't have much time left. So make sure you get on over to the Let's Get to Cooking community over on Facebook. It's facebook.com/groups/H2Q community to join up. And it's the featured post at the top.
And rumor, I think there's still a few spots left in the wing contest, if I heard right.
Oh, okay, yeah. So wing contest September. I got to look that up.
It's the last weekend in
September 28th.
28th, yeah.
Yeah, we're doing a wing contest here at the shop. We got $1,500 worth of prizes. We got 2 categories. So you enter, it's $50 to enter, and you turn in 2 different types of wings. Traditional.
$50 per or $50
No,
total?
It's a $50 entry that gets you entry into the 2 categories.
Gotcha.
So there's a traditional.
That's dirt cheap.
I know. There's a traditional and then whatever you want. So you come in with
Dealer's choice, pretty
dealer's
much.
choice.
Yeah.
So you come in and do your version of a more traditional hot wing,
So you're talking butter, hot sauce,
whatever.
that style of buffalo.
It-
Buffalo, traditional buffalo wing.
Yeah. And
Fried or grilled
it
or
can be whatever. It's your interpretation of hot wing.
okay.
It's
I
more
gotcha.
just hot wing. And then
Yeah.
then the other categories where you get real crazy.
What could it be? Whatever you want.
Asian.
Mark sushi wings.
Yeah,
Peanut
sushi
butter
wings.
jelly.
Peanut butter jelly.
Could you have
you ask me this
could
every
you
time.
stuff could you debone the wing and then stuff it back? and
There's
then-
no rules against that.
Okay.
The only rule is there's no garnish and no sauce cups. Like you can
It
sauce
could be a
your wings.
boneless wing.
Yeah, you can turn in any cut, whatever you feel.
So basically it's a chicken nugget contest now.
No,
Have you ever had a boneless wing? It's not wing.
no, I hate boneless wings.
Really?
Me too. Oh my gosh, I'm glad somebody said it.
They're dry.
Yeah.
It's just old dry breast meat. I mean, and they have a good sauce on them, and they're usually fried good, but I want it on the bone.
Could you do like the burnt ass chicken thighs wing style and call that a interpretation of a
Why do you have to be difficult?
I'm just asking because I know these questions are probably going to come up.
If that's your interpretation of a wing, I guess
You're not
it
going
would
to kick
be.
it out.
It doesn't
But
even
anyway,
say
we've
chicken.
got some great prize. What do the first place winners get?
So each category is $500, and then like second is $150, or it goes down.
You pay $50, you turn in 2 wings, and you got a chance to win $1,000.
You have a chance to win $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a pretty good deal.
and it'll be a fun day. We'll all be hanging out here.
Probably
Eating
have some
wings. Like
football in the background.
Yeah, I might bust out the hot dog machine.
We're gonna make some spiked cider or some bullfrog or something.
Maybe. Maybe.
I just got a projector off Temu. We got to put it to the test. with some
Projector,
football.
do you really? I tell you. Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be like one of those paper boxes. You put your phone in the back of the box.
I actually got it already. It looks pretty legit.
Oh,
I haven't tried it
haven't
yet,
tried it?
but I took it out of the box and it looks like it will work pretty
Yeah.
well. So
I wonder if it would work in daylight.
I don't know about
I have
that.
to put it to the test.
Yeah, yeah,
Usually those don't do as well in daylight.
yeah. But anyway,
Well,
that's all I have for you.
that's all we got today. Where, Tyler, you want to tell them about the community where they can find that contest and all the deets?
We just
Yeah.
Oh, did you just do that? I just,
No, you're good.
Spaced off.
I'll just do it one more time. So facebook.com/group/HGQ community. We hang out up there all weekend. Like I know me and Malcolm are commenting on tons of stuff in the last week. And also tons of other amazing people that too many to list to be
Yes.
honest with you that are super knowledgeable and we'd love to see what you're cooking. So
I started going through and liking some of the pictures for the entries, and so that's what we need you to do. Everybody needs to go through there and kind of give them a vote for the ones that you like, and you can vote for multiple, because it's about how do you win.
So you have to have
Whoever gets the most
likes.
likes.
Yeah. So like that encourages, and like this is kind of a secret. If you're listening to the podcast, like you can invite your family and friends into the group.
You
and
can get everybody to go like your picture.
try to get everybody to like it. But I've seen a couple people doing it already. But that's how you win the contest. So.
Yeah, it's about getting likes on your picture.
But you also have to be following Primo Ceramic Grills on Facebook, and you have have to be following HowToBBQRight.
How
for
do
it to
you
be
know?
eligible.
I mean, I guess you'd know if they're following us because they'd be in there. But
We have our ways.
oh, okay, there is a way to double verify if they're following Primo Grills.
Well, Mal, it's time to get them Labor Day recipes going.
I'm going to Walmart and buying every frozen burger they got, or at least one pack.
I'm trying those Bubba Burger. I haven't tried the onion.
How many
ones.
do you think there are?
I didn't realize there was that many flavors.
I didn't
Yeah.
either.
Anyway.
I don't buy enough frozen burgers apparently. Well, all right. Well, we appreciate y'all hanging out with us here today. We will be back. We'll be back next week. I'm pretty sure we will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's going to be. We'll already have some football happened. Everybody ice down those beers and go get your grill and charcoal and supplies and get ready for. We're fixing to have 5 days of college football. Starts tonight and goes through Monday.
And our draft is next week, so you'll hear how that went.
And our draft is Wednesday. Yes. Heck yeah. Great week.
How many leagues are you in this year?
3.
If
I
you-
did one like there's okay. I'm on. It's on this. I think it's on a platform called Sleeper, but it's like the Megala Bowl, and I signed up for it. It's for like one of these fantasy football or podcast guys that they do their own league, and I think it's anyway. I'm trying it for the first time.
The more you add to it, the bigger your chances are to win somewhere, right? So
I don't have who we betting on this weekend.
There's a lot of good games. I already did my pick 'em.
Yeah,
All right, we'll have to make a ride to Memphis.
gotta go
Place
across
bet.
state line to get on DraftKings. All right, well, we will be back next week, and we'll be talking more delicious how to barbecue right stuff. We gone.